All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the January 14th, 2025 regular council meeting for the Village of Lytton. I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone to please turn off your videos, mute your microphones, and allow council to begin the proceedings. Just to let you know, we're all being recorded and broadcasted on the Village of Lytton YouTube channel. If anyone is looking for a video recording of this meeting or a past meeting, you can go to the Village YouTube channel and watch it there. Thank you, Your Worship. You may call the meeting to order.
Thank you. I call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. I want to begin by recognizing that we're holding this first regular council meeting of 2025 here on the lands of the Endlakatla people. In the hall tonight, we have all of council except for Councillor Toss, who's joining us via Zoom tonight. And in accordance with our council procedure bylaw, Captain Walters is here in the capacity of Deputy Corporate Officer. So we need a motion to adopt the agenda for this evening.
So moved, Lightfoot.
Thank you. Seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you. All those in favor? And carried. Now we move on to adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting that was held on December 14th. We need a motion.
So moved, Toss.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. And were there any errors or omissions from those minutes? No, seeing none. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move right on to public comment. And I don't know if there'll be anybody online or not, but I'll turn it back over to CO Storoshenko.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just to make a note, it was actually December 10th. For some reason, I had 14th written there, but it was for December 10th meeting.
Yeah.
So just so you know. And so members of the public are now invited to comment on matters related to the agenda. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on the react button at the bottom of your screen and then use raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and you'll be asked to unmute yourself. You'll get a pop-up on your screen asking you to unmute. You will have 2 minutes to speak, and speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, say your address, and the agenda item number that you're speaking to. So if anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. I'm seeing no one, so I'll call for a second time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. And Your Worship, is there anyone there at Parish Hall that wishes to speak?
Yeah, we do have somebody here, but I don't think they wish to speak tonight. So nobody.
All right, so that thank you very much. That completes the public comment portion of the meeting. So back to you, Your Worship.
Okay, we'll move right on to item number 7, which is staff reports. And we have our CAO, Diana Burkett, to speak to the village office.
Thank you very much, Mayor O'Connor. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for those who are joining us online and in person, Bernie. This first item on the agenda tonight is dealing with replacing the village office. So as you know, the village office was located at 380 Main Street in a building that also housed the village library as well. And it was, of course, lost in the fire. We've been working with our colleagues at the TNRD, the Thompson Nicola Regional District, to acquire the land that property was located on, and now we're ready to start planning the rebuild of the actual building itself. So we had worked with a draftsman just to do a layout of the building to incorporate a couple of the elements that we were hoping to have at that location, and that's the layout that's attached to the report. It was just intended to make sure there was enough space. None of those layouts or sizes or anything are final by any means. We will be able to incorporate the elements that we've talked about. So In previous discussions, we have talked about having on the main floor of the village office building, having a reception area that would also serve as a visitor information center and could also be a business information center as well. So that would have kind of multiple purposes. And then in the front of the building facing Main Street, a commercial space that would be available to lease to a tenant in the future. The upstairs of the building would be where the council chambers would be located, the staff offices, and then some other functions like mechanical rooms and those types of things. You know, we did note when we looked at this layout, there's no room for a kind of a staff kitchen or a staff, an eating area upstairs. So there are some adjustments that need to be made to this layout, but we think that the size of the building on the lot with appropriate setbacks and other things, it will be suitable for the purposes that we want to have in there. So what we're looking to do is, one other point, this building will be funded with Village of Lytton resources. So we did have some money has come to us from the TNRD in recognition of the fact that we had been in year 20 of a 25-year lease for that former office, and the original agreement had that space coming to the Village of Lytton in an ownership capacity at the end of the 25 years. We were almost there, and so since we didn't make it to the end, the TNRD have given us back the payments that we had made. So we have that pot of money to go into this construction, and then the remainder will come from insurance proceeds that we have received. So this will be funded fully from sort of our own resources. So for that reason, we're recommending that we go and solicit proposals from 3 architects to begin the design of this building. And then from there, we will, kind of move through the process of hiring a construction company and the other steps that follow. But looking at this time to start with proposals from architects. So those are the comments I was going to make. Unless somebody has a specific question, I'm happy to try to answer it.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I do.
Councillor McCann.
Thank you, Diane. Diane, can you just add a bit more information about the process? So what I'm looking for is the amount of time that each stage is likely to take, like the best case scenario sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So the RFP goes out, whatever happens next. That's one question I have. And the other question is about who's on the ground to supervise the building of the building.
Right. So the timeline thing is a little bit difficult, but I'll give you some estimates. So one of the things we're trying to do to shorten the timeline is actually just go to 3 architects and ask for proposals instead of posting an RFP and waiting for responses to come in, and that type of thing. So we're planning on approaching 3 architects and saying, you have 3 weeks to submit a proposal on this. Here's what we can tell you about the building. So giving them, we would start with the layout that we have, and we'd say these are the other items that we want to see incorporated, like a staff kitchen, for example. We would give them sort of some of the old photos and information that we have. So that process, it will probably take us about 3 weeks. That would then have to come to council for approval. So we'd need to line up with a meeting. Maybe we could make the first meeting in February for that, get the architects engaged, and then they would start. So then from there, the architects would hire any of the other professionals that are required, any engineers or anything to do the design of the building. Once the design is done and approved and accepted, we would then do an RFP for a construction company to actually build the building. The architect, in association with myself working with our construction advisor, would be the people managing the construction company. So they're managing the construction itself. And so that process, I mean, I don't want to say that we could have the building done this year, but I think we could have the building done this year. I think it could be the first building that we complete. We would definitely be looking for simplicity in design so that we could move along quickly. The other piece of this, though, that will take some time is we are planning to apply to the Pacific Can business program for fire resiliency and net zero upgrades. And I believe that process does take some time to work through. We've already started the discussions just so that they're aware we're considering it, so that they'll be prepared for an application to come from the village. And they have indicated that they would welcome an application from us for those upgrades.
Thank you. That was the second question I was going to ask, if fire resiliency was in the building plan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor, and thank you, CAO Mumbercat. Quick question, who did these sketches that we were presented with tonight?
These were done by a draftsman that
Draftsman?
works with our construction advisor.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if just so I understand, because I'm very interested in having some input on the design of the building. I have concerns. I think another councillor mentioned as well about the elevator and the maintenance it requires.
Mm-hmm.
And also maybe there's a little bit of a debate around whether commercial space versus housing space would be a more reliable income or more beneficial to the village.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm prepared to vote in favor of this. However, I do expect that council will be able to meet with the architects and have a very robust discussion about what's best for the village for this
Mhm.
building. And,
Mhm.
you mentioned simple.
Yes.
That, and then as far as picking the 3 architecture firms for these to solicit bids from, how do you go about that? Like, do you go to architects that you've had worked with before or that might be recommended? How does that work?
Yeah, so we would look for architects, of course, in the area. So we're probably talking about Kamloops or Kelowna, and we would look for architects that do municipal buildings. That's their focus, because there are ones who kind of focus more in that area than others, and it's helpful because they understand particularly some of our processes and some of the approvals that are required along the way. And so that would be, we would reach out to colleagues in those areas. I would probably start with the City of Kamloops and the TNRD and ask them what architects they've used in the past, because they would have, a roster.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's some procurement competition.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, so we have a recommended motion here. And who would like to put that forward? Councillor Lightfoot, and a seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. We look forward to more information coming back to us soon. All right, we move on to item number 7.2, CFO, so appointment of auditors.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. This is a standard item looking for approval to sign the engagement letter with our auditors BDO for the 2024 year-end audit. So they've actually started some of the work as an interim procedures. I was pleased when I got this engagement letter. The price is actually a little bit lower than last year. So yeah, it went down slightly. And as we've discussed before, while we're dealing with these recovery funding grants and whatnot that have come from the provincial government, it's very beneficial to stay with the same auditors who already understand those programs. We've done, quite a bit of work and come quite a long way in getting all of those records sorted out and recorded properly. And it would be a lot of work to switch to another auditor. So at this time.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I was curious about the cost, whether the price had gone up. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So we do have the recommended motion here. And who would like to put that forward?
Also move.
Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Lightfoot. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Good. Director of Development. We have the activities report, and I believe Corey is here to talk about that tonight.
Yes, thank you, Mayor O'Connor. Good evening, everyone. I think it's great that we have 2 years of data now. Unfortunately, we only have 3 building permits from the previous year, but we have quite a few more this year, and we look forward to having an even larger number and being able to present a graph one day. But nonetheless, we did have 3 development applications in each of the previous 2 years. And again, we're always here to welcome anyone who would like to discuss a development application or move forward with something. So we provide this for your information and look forward to an annual report one day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know every month that this is recorded, I always look forward to like how many permits were issued. And I know this last month, of December was probably not a busy month. So, but thank you. So we have a motion to receive this report for information. Councillor Lightfoot and a seconder.
Toss.
Toss. All those in favor? Yes, carried. And I forgot to ask if anybody had any questions or comments of Corey for that.
I did have one comment, Corey. To me, it was a yearly review. Like, it was really helpful to see the whole year on one page and just to realize how much activity has actually happened this past year. So thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so we will move on to the OCP permit areas project update. So Corey, back to you.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. All right. Well, this evening, we're bringing forward an information report. You've seen all of this information before. So what our intent here is to summarize where we've got to this point, give you some time to chew on this information to make sure that, we've got a good grounding for when we can return to you with a bylaw for readings. Once we have a bylaw that has had readings, then we'll be able to do the formal referral process and engage our neighbors in a conversation. So we look forward to those next steps, but we're taking it one step at a time. If you have any questions, either this evening or at any time in the future, feel free to reach out to the planning email address and we'll do our best to answer them for you. That concludes my comments.
Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions?
Mayor O'Connor, could I just add one thing to
Yes.
what Corey said? So the one piece that got dropped off of her her explanation there, just that after the bylaws have the first couple of readings and go for referral to our neighbors, we would also take that opportunity to schedule a community open house and share this information with the community at large, just so that everybody can have a chance to see the information and understand the information before it would then move on to a public hearing and the rest of the steps.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I just had a comment about Table 1 OCP permit area summary table. Right below that, there's information presented today. It supports updating the designations too. There's 4 bullets. The 4th is reflect current legislation and best practices. And I just wanted to make a comment that so far, best practice has not always been in the best interest of residents. So best practice hasn't served us well with the archaeology, with the debris removal, with a lot of different aspects of the rebuild. I think focusing on simplicity rather than best practice is perhaps a better approach for our village. Just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? So we would like to receive this report for information. Who would like to make that motion?
I'll make some move.
Thank you. Seconder Toss.
Sure. Thanks.
All those in favor? Carried. Perfect. All right. That takes us right on to item number 8, which is correspondence. And we had a few pieces come in. I know some meetings we don't have much, but first one is a letter from the BC Epilepsy Society regarding, actually with a request asking us to make a proclamation for their Purple Day. And I hope everyone had an opportunity to read the letter. And does anybody have any comments or questions? Oh, Councillor Lightfoot.
I'm just wondering, we get a lot of worthy causes approaching us to make these proclamations, and I'm wondering what kind of staff time is involved in it. And if you do one and you don't do another, are you saying to the one you don't do that you're not as important? So it gets to be a bit of a dilemma, I think, and it uses staff time, and given that we have limited staff time, I'm wondering if we maybe should develop a policy. I know in the past, when I was on council, we would get sometimes multiple at each meeting. It just became somewhat overwhelming. So I'm wondering if staff can explain how much time is used and what their thoughts are on developing a policy.
You just kind of tweaked something with me, and I recall hearing from years gone by that we may have had actually a policy.
I think so.
that talked about either minimizing or not making proclamations. CIO Momberket, do you have any comments regarding that?
Yeah, Mayor O'Connor, thank you. I was just going to ask to jump in because CEO Storoshenko and I have been talking about this, because we're never quite sure what to do either when they come in. There's a variety, and we haven't found any guidance. And so Lisa, do you want to just highlight the research you have done and what you've found, from just to give council some information right now, but we can still move to a policy, but just hear from Lisa what she's found out so far.
Yeah, I did a quick little survey of some of the municipalities, and went to some of the other corporate officers. I had about 14 responses, and about half of them still do proclamations, but they do have some specifications, meaning that they have to either make sure that they give us a sample proclamation, or, depending on what the criteria is. But another thing they do is they also end up sometimes just putting it in as correspondence for information, just to share the information. Because what's happening now is that you have to be cautious. A council has to be cautious with handling the decisions that are made very neutrally and without discrimination. So that kind of gets a bit tricky. And there's also been some issues with human rights. And so also too, if you're accepting one and then you're not accepting another company's for whatever reason, there's a bit of conflict there too. And there's been cases in court cases as well, awarding compensation for groups that have been refused. So that's just a couple points that I have found out recently.
And some of them came back and let you know that they just flat out don't do proclamations. Like they just moved away from it entirely.
Yeah, there's probably about 4 or 5 already that they don't do them at all. They send a letter declining them too, but they do decline them.
Oh yeah, yeah. As we said, these are worthy causes, but my gut is saying to accept this letter for information rather than make a proclamation, and request that our staff develop a policy regarding this to bring to council. I guess that's a motion I'm making. I don't know, I took put 2 in 1 there. Councillor Toss.
Hi, is the motion on the table right now?
No.
It hasn't been tabled?
No.
I'm speaking in favor of continuing on a case-by-case system for proclamations, because I think there are worthy causes, and I know that this one in particular, we've already written it up, so there's no staff time involved. I think it's a worthwhile cause. So I'm in support of doing it. So maybe if you're putting that motion on the table, are we gonna?
Would you like to? Okay, let's go a step back. So we do have a recommended motion. Would you like to put it on the table? Would you like to
Sure.
make
Yeah,
this
I
motion?
would like to move that we do proclaim March 26th as International
Okay.
Purple Day for Epilepsy Awareness in the Village of Lytton, as per the attached letter that's been prepared.
And any comments or questions? Some comments or seconder, sorry. Seconder, Councillor Lightfoot, comments. Like Councillor Lightfoot.
I think the fact that the letter was provided by the agency makes this an easier proclamation to make but I would still prefer that all of these requests come in for information, and then if we decide we want to pull it out of and have an action, we're still able to do that, correct?
Mhm.
Councillor Toss, do you have another question or is your hand still up?
Yeah, just to follow that up, that I am in favor of a discussion around a policy going forward, but for this particular motion, I think, like, I'm speaking in favor of this particular motion with, as Councillor Lightfoot mentioned, with the provided proclamation, and then going forward on a case by case, I think is appropriate, or providing a policy.
Yeah, thank you.
Comments. Thank you.
Other comments?
No.
I guess until a policy is set, that maybe this could go, I could support this, and then get a policy in place. I would not want to see a policy on case by case. I just worry about fairness and yeah. Okay, so if there's no other comments regarding this, we will vote on the question. All those in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you.
So now you need the action.
So now Councillor Lightfoot.
I'm wondering if it would be appropriate that this time, or if you would accept from myself, a motion put forward that staff develop a policy regarding proclamation requests.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And bring it back to council by,
Well, ideally in the next, within the next month, it would be nice to have a policy so that we can be clear on our process in the
As they
future.
come forward, yeah. Okay, CO Storoshenko, did you get that?
I did, yes. So Councillor
Okay.
Lightfoot's moved that.
All right, seconder.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments regarding that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. All right, the next piece of correspondence is from a lady named Kathy Peters, and I hope everybody had an opportunity again to read that letter, but we're looking to a motion to receive this for information.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconder?
Cross.
Thank you. Any comments? All those in favor? Carried. And then 8.2.2, which is correspondence from EDCM regarding the Canada Community Building Fund. Again, we're looking to a motion to receive this for information. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder.
Sure.
McCann, any comments?
Yay.
Yay.
Yay. Councillor Lightfoot, did you have a comment or just yay?
It was just yay.
Yeah, that is good news. It's always good news. All those in favor? And carried. Okay, and then the last piece of correspondence is from Independent Contractors and Business Association. And we are also looking to receive this letter for information.
Also moved.
Thank you, seconder. Councillor Toss, and any comments? All those in favor? Carried. All right, we'll move on to verbal reports. I will begin. So our last council meeting was on Tuesday, December the 17th, so a full month ago. It's hard to believe. I feel like I don't have a lot to report because of all the Christmas celebrations and holidays and such that went on. But I know that I thoroughly enjoyed my Christmas break with family, and I hope that our staff had that opportunity as well, and that they used the time to relax and rejuvenate. And I'm assuming they did, because what I've seen this last week or so is they're just back to work full force. So that's good news. On Thursday, December 19th, I attended the CKPC holiday train, where I went on the stage to give greetings from Lytton and accepted the donation to the Lytton Food Bank on behalf of the Lytton Food Bank Committee. So we definitely thank CKPC for that and the Canada Food Bank. At the beginning of last week, I interviewed with CBC's Shelley Joyce. Yesterday, I received an inquiry from another media outlet. So they're all curious to know, the media is curious to know what 2025 is going to bring for Lytton. So I'm sure that will be ramped up. On Thursday last week, I attended the monthly Gold Country meeting. One of the things that's happening is they are looking to update the geocache sites in the region. There were a number of them, of course, in our area that they after the fire, they discontinued, but they're looking for new places and such. So that's good news to bring people to our area. I also last week attended the EOC training here in the parish hall. It was for the for other council members and staff were here. It was a tabletop, very interesting and fun, but very much helping me to understand a bit more about EOC and how it works. We kept the Monday coffee with mayor and council going all through the Christmas break, and it was so great to see so many people here. I think they really appreciated the continuity and the consistency. And, you know, a lot of people were kind of home alone over the Christmas and not a lot of things open. So they enjoyed coming here. But it was so great to see so many people, not only from the village, but from Botany Valley and other areas that came and joined us here. Upcoming is a number of meetings that I'll be attending. I'll be reporting on those, of course, at the next council meeting. But I do want to say that I hope to see everybody at the Hub open house we have planned for next Thursday, June 30th, here at the Parish Hall. People can come either in the afternoon or the evening to find out information, ask questions, and provide your thoughts around this project. So that's it for my report, and I'll move to Councillor Toss.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I don't have a lot to report. I was in Lytton for the potluck on December 30th, and like Mayor O'Connor, was delighted at the turnout with the and on January 6th with residents coming in for coffee and sharing stories and concerns. It's, I think, a great Monday event. And I spent some time with residents while I was in town, you know, hearing some concerns about getting things going. So we hear that loud and clear, I think, our council, and doing as best we can. Attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting on December the 12th, and I think the Chamber's looking at perhaps with the village or with other partners, a spring event to support businesses and some community gatherings, some building of community. Their AGM, their annual general meeting, is on February 14th at 4:30. I think that's fresh news, so I would verify that before putting it to print. And then our next meeting is this Thursday for the Chamber, the 23rd of January. Enjoyed the Christmas train. Could not believe how many people came out. That was wonderful. And like Mayor O'Connor, attended the emergency training with our emergency management consultant, Jim McDonald, who's done, I think, a fantastic job of preparing us for calamities and eventualities, or, you know, it is a great start anyways. Of course, it's a work in progress. And EOC is an emergency operations center. So Mayor and Council and a few staff met with Jim, and it was an excellent learning day of learning. So I thank staff for putting that together, and thank staff for everything they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCann.
First of all, Mayor O'Connor, it is January the 30th that the open house.
What did I say?
June.
I said
June
June.
30th just kind of rolls out of our without even thinking about it. But it is January.
January 30th.
Yeah. We don't have to wait till June to come and see it. It's okay. So I attended actually quite a number of events. I was surprised. So since December the 10th, which I thought was our last meeting. But on the 12th, I was really happy to attend Lorna Fandrich's open house for the Chinese Museum. And there were lots of people there, and it was a very well-received and very nice event, and look forward to her grand opening in the spring. But it was nice for everybody to have a chance to get in and wander about. On the 16th, 23rd, 30th, and January 6th and 13th. So that's all of the Monday coffees that have happened since then. And I was here for them all. My goodness, I must really like coffee. So, and the potluck lunches were quite well received as well. People enjoyed doing that. On the 19th, I rode the holiday train from Ashcroft to Lytton and attended the performance in Lytton. And I also assisted with the social following the event. On December 20th, met by Zoom with the mayor and Troy Abramatius, I'm not sure if I said his name right, regarding a scholarship proposal. And there will be more about that later as it comes together. January 7th, also went to the emergency exercise that Mayor and Councillor Toss were referring to. On the 9th, I followed Recovery Director Don Wong on his Lytton visit throughout the morning. And just general comments that I'd like to make are that I enjoyed the break. I got to spend time with my family, enjoyed some social time with friends. I'd like to thank the mayor for driving the four of us who rode the holiday train to Ashcroft in the early hours of the morning on December 19th. Otherwise, I never would have gone. It was really a nice experience, so I really appreciated that and enjoyed the experience. I took some time to reflect on the year finishing, and I feel proud of the council and staff for the accomplishments completed in our last year. And I'm eager to see 2025 mark more firsts for the village and the community. And one of the things that I just didn't write down, but I think is that obviously we're not perfect. We've made lots of mistakes and had lots of challenges, but I think I feel pretty positive about the way we kind of ride the curve and carry on, keep it working. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Councillor Lightfoot. Oh, sorry, Councillor Michelle. Nothing new to report. Okay, Councillor Lightfoot.
Not a lot to report on my behalf. I think I hibernated most of the last month away, which was good. And, you know, I have spoken to several people that are feeling somewhat guilty that they retreated for that dark, cold time of the year. But I think it's part of our natural cycle. As Councillor McCann said, I feel somewhat refreshed, and it gave me a good time to reflect on what we've accomplished and what we hope to accomplish in the next 2 years. I also attended the EOC tabletop, and a good reminder that we always need to be prepared. On top of that, the California fires, I think, have brought people back to reminisce and contemplate what we went through as we see that large group of people down there struggling to have some patience. I mean, they're only a weekend. So I have a lot of sympathy for them. I finally made it to coffee the other day, and it was a good time to socialize and get some feedback and see my neighbors again. So thank you for continuing with that. And as Councillor Toss said, I think we're quite blessed to have such competent staff working with us, helping us make this challenge a little more easy.
Okay, thank you. So that does bring us to the end of the open meeting. We will move into closed meeting. I know every meeting I look at item number 11.1, which is items to be released from closed session, and we discuss a lot in closed sessions, and I I do look forward to the times when we can release from that, but just the way the system works that we can't. So we have nothing at this time. So we do need a motion though to move into closed meeting. Councillor Lightfoot and a seconder.
I'll second.
And all those in favor? Carried. So thank you for attending, and I'll turn it back over to CO Storoshenko.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. So that concludes the public portion of the regular council meeting of January 14th, 2025. We ask that the public and staff please remove yourself from the meeting as we go into the closed session. Thank you for attending and have a wonderful night. And I invite council to take a short recess while I reset the meeting to closed.
Thank you.